Hey, I've been staring at this blank email for 3 hours. My hands are shaking so bad I keep deleting whole paragraphs. If you're reading this, it means I finally hit send. My name doesn't matter. Call me whatever you want. Just know that 6 months ago, I was the guy who had everything. And tonight, I'm the guy who has to look his wife in the eye and admit I threw it all away for a stranger in room 312 of the airport Marriott. It started on a night I still remember down to the minute, 2:17 a.m., Tuesday, March 14th, last year. Emily was asleep beside me, breathing soft and slow, the way she's done every night for 11 years. The sound used to calm me. That night, it felt like an accusation. I couldn't sleep. I hadn't touched her in weeks. Not because I didn't want her. I did. God, I did. But every time I reached for her, something inside me froze, like I was already too far gone to deserve her skin against mine. I slipped out of bed, careful not to let the mattress dip too much. My bare feet hit the cold hardwood, and I walked to the office like a man walking to his own execution. The house was dead quiet, except for the low hum of the refrigerator downstairs. I closed the door, sat in the dark, and opened my laptop. The blue light felt obscene. I remember thinking, just look, just see what's out there. No harm in looking. I'd heard the ads before. Everyone has. Life is short. Have an affair. I used to laugh at them, called the people who clicked them pathetic, weak, losers who couldn't keep their vows. Then one night the laughing stopped, and I typed the URL myself. My fingers knew the letters before my brain caught up. The homepage loaded. Silhouettes of bodies pressed together, promises of discreet, no strings, married but looking. My pulse was hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. I told myself I was just curious. Research. A joke I'd never tell. I created the profile in under 4 minutes. Username, Traveler41. Age, 39. Status, married. Looking for excitement I'm not getting at home. I uploaded a photo I cropped Emily out of. Just me, smiling at some barbecue last summer. The one where she said I looked handsome in that blue shirt. I wrote that I was bored in a sexless marriage and felt my stomach turn even as the lie left my fingertips. Then came the part that made me hard and sick at the same time. What are you looking for? I stared at the blinking cursor. My wedding ring caught the glow from the screen like it was mocking me. I typed, someone who still wants me. Someone who makes me feel alive again. I hovered over submit. The little voice that still had some decency left screamed, close the tab, go back to bed, kiss your wife's shoulder and thank God for the life you have. But the other voice, the louder one, whispered, she'll never know. It's just words, just a game. You're lonely. You deserve this. My finger came down on the trackpad. The button turned green. Profile created. Welcome to the site, Traveler41. I sat there in the dark, breathing like I'd sprinted 10 miles. My phone buzzed on the desk, a notification from the site already. Someone had viewed me. Someone had favorited me. Someone out there wanted the version of me I'd just sold them. I felt a rush so intense my vision blurred at the edges. I closed the laptop, heart slamming against my ribs, and crept back to bed. Emily stirred when the mattress dipped. She rolled toward me in her sleep, threw an arm across my chest like she always does, and murmured something I couldn't catch. I lay there stiff as a corpse, staring at the ceiling. The glow of that green button still burned into my eyes. That was the exact moment I cheated on my wife. Not when I kissed another woman, not when I slid inside her 6 weeks later. Right there, at 2:17 a.m. when I clicked submit and sold my soul for the price of a secret username. I just didn't know yet that the bill always comes due. And when it does, it takes everything. I wish I could tell you that I deleted the account the next morning. I didn't. I woke up at 6:03 a.m. with Emily's arms still draped over me like nothing had changed, and the first thing I did was reach for my phone under the pillow. The app had already sent me a push notification. You have 11 new visitors, 3 messages. My mouth went dry. My dick woke up before my conscience did. I waited until she left for work. The second her car pulled out of the driveway, I was back in the office chair, laptop open like a loaded gun. The site greeted me with a little red heart. Traveler 41, you're popular today. I hated how good that felt. The first two messages were nothing. Thirsty one-liners from women who used way too many emojis. Then I opened the third. Lila_28. Good morning, handsome. I saw your profile at 2:47 a.m. Couldn't sleep either, huh? I like a man who knows what time it really is when the house is quiet and the lies get loud. Tell me what you were really thinking when you cropped her out of that barbecue photo. Attached was a picture, just her lips, glossy red, pressed against the screen like she was kissing the camera. No face, just that mouth and the promise behind it. I stared at it for a full minute. My wedding ring felt suddenly tight, like it was trying to cut off circulation to the finger that made the vow. I typed back before I could stop myself. Traveler 41. I was thinking I forgot what it feels like to be wanted. She replied in 8 seconds. Then let me remind you. That was it. 4 words and I was already hard. Not the lazy morning wood you get from a full bladder. This was violent, urgent, shameful. I locked the office door even though I was alone in the house. My hands shook as I unbuckled my belt. I told myself I'd just look at her lips one more time, just once. She sent a voice note 30 seconds later. I pressed play with the volume so low I had to hold the phone to my ear like a teenager hiding porn. Her voice was low, smoky, a little raspy like she'd just woken up from fucking someone else. I'm touching myself right now thinking about the way you looked in that blue shirt, wondering, the way you'd look on top of me while she's at work. Tell me you're hard for me, traveler. Tell me right now. I came in my fist in under a minute, biting down on my own forearm so no sound would escape. When it was over, I sat there, panting, staring at the mess I'd made on the hardwood floor Emily and I picked out together at Lumber Liquidators 10 years ago. The same floor we fucked on the night we moved in. The same floor our dog threw up on last Christmas. The same floor I just defiled because a stranger on the internet said my username like it tasted good. I cleaned it up with the t-shirt I'd worn on our honeymoon, the one Emily still steals to sleep in sometimes. I stuffed it to the bottom of the trash like evidence. Then I typed back, Traveler 41, I'm hard for you. God help me. I'm so fucking hard for you. Lila sent a single kissing emoji and went offline. I sat there until noon, refreshing the page every 30 seconds, waiting for the little green dot next to her name to come back. When it finally did, my heart did something it hadn't done since Emily and I were dating. It actually skipped. That was the day I bought the second phone. Burner, cash, no plan tied to our account. That was the day I started living for the vibration in my pocket that wasn't my wife. That was the day I stopped being Emily's husband and started being Lila's secret. And every night, when Emily crawled into bed and kissed my cheek and whispered, I love you, I smiled, kissed her back, and waited for her breathing to even out so I could open the burner and read the new filthy things Lila wanted to do to me while my wife slept 2 feet away. I told myself it was just words, just a fantasy, just a game. But games have levels, and I was already addicted to the next one.
By week 3, I wasn't sleeping at all. I'd lie beside Emily pretending to scroll work emails while my real thumb was on the burner, flying through the chat that now had its own heartbeat. Every notification hit me like a shot of something illegal. I'd wait until her breathing went deep, then slip out of bed and stand in the hallway like a junkie, back pressed to the wall, reading the new message with the brightness turned all the way down so the glow wouldn't wake her. She'd started sending me pictures in pieces. First, just the curve of her hip in black lace, then the hollow of her throat with my name typed across it in red lipstick, Then the one that made me have to bite my own wrist to stay quiet, her fingers inside herself, wedding ring removed, caption that read, "This could be you in 14 days." 14 days. She lived 73 miles away, same area code, different life. I started jerking off in the guest bathroom at 3 a.m. so I wouldn't wake Emily with the bed moving. I'd sit on the closed toilet lid, phone propped against the sink, volume off, watching the little typing bubbles appear and disappear while she told me exactly how wet she was, thinking about my mouth on her while my wife cooked dinner downstairs. I came so hard one night I saw stars and had to grip the counter to stay upright. The guilt hit 2 seconds later, hot and sour, but it was already too late. The next message was waiting. We moved to voice notes because typing wasn't fast enough anymore. Her voice in my ear, 2:47 a.m., while Emily's head was on my chest. "I want you to fuck me in your wedding tux. I want to taste her perfume on your neck while you're inside me." I played it 3 times, hand down my boxers, praying Emily wouldn't wake up and feel my heart trying to punch through my ribs. I started lying without thinking. Working late, client dinner, battery died, sorry. The lies slid out smoother than they had any right to. I'd kiss Emily goodbye in the morning, tasting like toothpaste and betrayal, then spend my lunch break in the parking garage sending dick pics from the shadow between 2 SUVs. She'd reply with a video of her coming, my name on her lips, and I'd sit there in my car with the windows fogging, wondering how the hell I became this man. Emily noticed something was wrong. Of course she did. One night she reached for me in bed and I flinched, actually flinched, like her touch burned. She froze, hand hovering in the air between us, and asked in this small voice, "Do you even want me anymore?" I pulled her close and fucked her like I was trying to prove something to both of us. It was fast, mechanical, angry. I came thinking about the way Lila says my real name when she's close. Emily fell asleep afterward with tears on her cheeks. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise, hating myself so much I wanted to peel my own skin off. The day we scheduled the hotel, I was shaking while I typed the message. Thursday, 1 p.m., Airport Marriott, room paid in cash. She replied with a single word, "Finally." I spent that whole night pacing the basement, rehearsing how I'd call in sick, how I'd shower at the gym so Emily wouldn't smell another woman's perfume on me, how I'd look my wife in the eye the next morning and pretend I was still the man she married. Thursday was 3 days away, 72 hours, 4,320 minutes until I walked into that room and murdered my marriage with my own body. I stood in the dark kitchen at 4 a.m., burner in one hand, wedding ring in the other, and for one single second I almost threw both in the garbage disposal. Then the phone vibrated. A new voice note. I pressed play. "I'm on my bed right now with the window open so the neighbors might hear me moan your name. Come ruin me on Thursday, baby. I'm already dripping for you." I slid the ring back on. I opened the calendar app. I typed dentist appointment, 1 p.m., and I hit save. 3 days. I was already counting the hours, like a death row inmate counting steps to the chair.
Thursday arrived like a fever. I called in sick with a voice so steady it scared me. Emily kissed my forehead, told me to rest, left a glass of orange juice on the nightstand like I was actually dying instead of already dead inside. The door clicked shut behind her at 8:07 a.m. I waited until her car turned the corner. Then I was in the shower, scrubbing myself raw, trying to wash off 11 years of being a good man. It didn't work. The guilt just clung tighter. I wore the blue shirt from the barbecue photo, the one she said made me look handsome. I told myself it was laundry day. I was a fucking liar even about cotton. The drive to the Airport Marriott took 46 minutes. I know because I counted every one. I kept the radio off. Silence felt like punishment, and I deserved it. My palms left wet prints on the steering wheel.
At every red light, I pictured Emily at her desk right then, probably texting me, "Feel better, baby," with a heart emoji, while I was en route to bury myself inside another woman. I parked in the back corner of the lot, far from cameras. Room 312 was prepaid under a fake name I'd practiced signing in the steam on the mirror that morning. I stood outside the door for a full minute, keycard trembling in my hand. I could still leave. I could still text "changed my mind" and drive home and delete everything and beg God to rewind time. The door opened before I knocked. She was wearing the black lace from the photos and nothing else. No hello, no words. She just grabbed my tie, pulled me inside, and kissed me so hard I tasted blood where her teeth caught my lip. The door slammed shut with my wedding ring still on my finger and my soul already on the floor. We didn't make it to the bed the first time. She pushed me against the wall, dropped to her knees, and took me in her mouth like she was starving. I lasted maybe 90 seconds before I came down her throat with a sound I didn't recognize as human. She swallowed, looked up, and smiled like she'd won a prize. Then she stood, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, and said the first words she'd spoken out loud to me ever. "Take everything off except the ring. I want to feel it while you fuck me." I obeyed. God help me, I obeyed. We fucked like animals for 2 straight hours. On the bed, on the floor, in the shower with the water so hot it burned. Every time I came, she laughed this low, filthy laugh and told me to get hard again. I did. 3 times, 4. I lost count. My body was hers and hers alone, and Emily didn't exist in that room, in that zip code, in that entire universe. At 2:41 p.m., my real phone buzzed on the nightstand. "Emily," heart. "How's my sick boy? Need anything from the store?" I was still inside Leela, mid-thrust, her legs wrapped around my waist, nails carving lines down my back. I stared at the screen while I kept moving. Leela saw the name, saw the heart emoji, and tightened around me deliberately. She mouthed, "Answer it." I came so hard my vision blacked out. Afterward, we lay there, sweat cooling, her head on my chest, tracing my wedding ring with one finger like it fascinated her. She asked, lazy and sated, "Does she ever make you come like that?" I couldn't speak. My throat was raw from moaning someone else's name. I left at 4:12 p.m. with her teeth marks on my shoulder and her perfume soaked into my skin. I stopped at a car wash and vacuumed the seats like evidence. I showered at the gym, used a different soap, brushed my teeth twice. I walked in my own front door at 6:08 p.m. smelling like Irish Spring and lies. Emily was making lasagna. She hugged me from behind while I stood at the sink. "You look flushed. Fever break?" I turned, kissed her forehead, and said, "Yeah, I feel much better now." She smiled. I smiled back. And somewhere inside me, something died screaming. That night, I fucked my wife like I was trying to erase another woman's fingerprints from my body. Emily fell asleep happy. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, tasting Leela on my tongue every time I swallowed. I told myself it was over. One time. Done. But my burner buzzed at 1:03 a.m. with a single photo. The hotel bed, sheets wrecked, my wedding ring glinting on the nightstand where I'd left it while I showered. Caption, "Round 2 next Thursday?" I stared at it until the screen went dark. Then I typed back, "Book it."
I stopped counting the Thursdays. They blurred into a fever loop. Lie to Emily, fuck Lila, come home, kiss Emily with the same mouth that had been between another woman's legs an hour earlier. I became a master at compartmentalizing. I had 2 weather apps, 2 Spotify accounts, 2 versions of myself. One smiled at parent-teacher conferences and fixed the leaky faucet. The other bent Lila over a hotel desk and told her to scream my name loud enough for the people next door to hear. Emily started losing weight. Not the happy kind, the kind where her collarbones sharpened and her wedding ring spun loose on her finger.
She'd stand in front of the mirror in her bra and ask, "Do I look sick to you?" I'd lie and say she looked beautiful, then go jerk off in the shower to the memory of Lila riding me reverse while calling me her married man. I was falling in love with the affair. That's the part no one tells you. It wasn't just sex anymore. It was the way Lila looked at me like I was a god instead of the pathetic liar I'd become. It was the way she texted me at 3:12 a.m. just to say, "I miss your cock inside me," and I felt seen for the first time in years. Emily's love started feeling like a debt. Lila's felt like oxygen. I started picking fights so I could storm out and go to her. Stupid shit, leaving dishes in the sink, forgetting to take out the trash, anything to justify the slam of the door and the 2-hour disappearance. Emily would cry and apologize to me. I'd hold her and hate myself so violently I wanted to put my fist through a wall. One night I came home late, reeking of hotel soap and sex. Emily was sitting on the couch in the dark, wine glass empty, eyes red. She looked up and said, so quiet it sliced me open, "Do you even see me anymore?" I stood there in the doorway with another woman's claw marks under my shirt and said, "Of course I do, babe. I'm just stressed." She stared at me for a long time. Then she nodded, slow, like she was filing something away for later. She walked past me to bed without another word. I watched her go and felt the floor tilt under my feet. Lila started pushing for more. Weekends, overnight. "Leave her," she'd whisper while I was still inside her. "We both know you want to." I'd laugh it off, but the seed was planted. I started imagining it, waking up to Lila every morning. No more hiding, no more pretending. I'd look at Emily asleep beside me and feel irritated, like she was the one keeping me from happiness. I was so far gone I didn't even flinch when Lila sent me a video of her coming while mooning my real name, the one only Emily ever used when we made love. I saved it in a hidden folder labeled Taxes 2019. The last Thursday in August, Lila met me at the door wearing Emily's perfume, the one I'd bought my wife for our anniversary. She smiled and said, "I wanted to smell like home for you." I fucked her harder than I ever had, angry and turned on and suicidal all at once. When I came, I screamed Emily's name by accident. Lila went still underneath me. Then she laughed, cold. Wow, even when you're inside me, you're thinking about her. She pushed me off, lit a cigarette, and stared out the hotel window. "You're never going to leave her, are you?" I opened my mouth to say, "Of course I will," but nothing came out. She stubbed the cigarette out on the nightstand. "Get out!" I drove home doing 90 on the highway, crying so hard I could barely see the road. I walked in at 2:07 a.m. Emily was on the couch again, same spot, same empty wine glass, but this time the lights were on and she was holding my burner phone. The screen was lit up with the last message I sent Lila 20 minutes earlier. "Can't do this anymore. I'm done." Emily looked up at me, eyes dead. "You're done?" she asked, voice flat. "That's funny, because I just got started reading." She turned the phone so I could see the lock screen photo. Me and Lila in the hotel mirror, my hand between her legs, wedding ring front and center. The floor didn't tilt this time. It just opened up and swallowed me whole. I stood frozen in the doorway, keys still in my hand, the house too bright, the air too thick. Emily sat on the couch like a statue carved out of grief. The burner phone rested on her lap, screen still glowing with that mirror selfie. My naked body behind Lila, my fingers inside her, my wedding ring catching the flash like a fucking beacon. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, so softly I almost missed it, "How long?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. My tongue felt glued to the roof of my mouth. Emily stood up slowly, like every bone in her body had turned to glass. She walked toward me until we were 2 feet apart, close enough that I could see the red threads in her eyes, the way her lips trembled even though her voice stayed level. "How long have you been sleeping with her?" I tried to lie. I swear to God I tried. My brain scrambled for something, anything, but my body betrayed me. My knees buckled and I hit the floor like someone had cut my strings. 7 months, I heard myself say. It sounded like someone else's voice. Almost 8. The sound she made wasn't human. It started low in her chest and climbed until it shattered into a scream that ripped the air in half. She threw the phone at my head. It bounced off my temple and clattered across the hardwood. Then she was on me. Fists, nails, knees, anything she could hit with. I didn't block a single blow. I deserved every one. She screamed questions I couldn't answer through the blood in my mouth. Was it good? Did you love her? Did you ever love me? Do you even know what you've done? I just kept saying I'm sorry over and over until the words lost all meaning and turned into animal noises. She stopped hitting me when her hands started shaking too hard to make fists. She backed away until her spine hit the wall and slid down it, hugging her knees, rocking like a child. I crawled toward her on broken glass and my own blood, begging, reaching. She kicked me in the face so hard I saw stars. "Don't touch me," she whispered. "Don't you ever touch me again." Then she went still. Completely still, like someone flipped a switch and turned her off. She stared at the floor between us for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was ice. "Get out." I tried to say her name. She looked up and the hatred in her eyes burned every letter of it out of my throat. I said, "Get out." I stumbled to my feet. My legs wouldn't hold me. I grabbed the doorframe to stay upright. Behind me, I heard her moving, drawers opening, the zipper of a suitcase. I turned around. She was in our bedroom throwing clothes into the overnight bag we use for anniversaries. My anniversary gift sweater from last year went in folded perfectly. The lingerie she wore on our 10th anniversary got balled up and hurled like trash. "Emily, please." She didn't look at me. "I'm going to my sister's. You have until morning to get whatever you need. After that, I never want to see your face again." I fell to my knees in the hallway. "I'll end it. I already ended it. I swear to God, I'll fix this." She walked past me carrying the bag, stopped at the front door, turned around one last time. "You didn't just cheat on me. You murdered us, and I hope she was worth it." Then she opened the door and walked out into the night. I stayed on the floor until sunrise, staring at the blood I'd left on the hardwood. At 6:47 a.m., my phone buzzed on the floor. A text from Leela. "You ghosted me last night. Everything okay, baby?" I threw the phone at the wall so hard it exploded into pieces. That was the exact moment I realized I had nothing left. No wife, no home, no soul. Just the echo of a door closing and the sound of my entire life ending in one sentence. I hope she was worth it. She wasn't. She left on a Thursday. I died on a Friday. The house went corpse quiet the second her car disappeared. I walked from room to room, touching things like a blind man trying to prove they were still real. Her coffee mug in the sink, the dent in the couch where she always sat, the faint outline of her body still warm in the sheets. I pressed my face into her pillow and screamed until my throat bled. I didn't sleep for 5 days. I sat in the dark living room with the lights off and every curtain closed, replaying the look on her face when she said, "You murdered us." I drank until the bottle was empty, then drank the next one. I put the barrel of my grandfather's .38 in my mouth at 3:14 a.m. on the 6th night, and only took it out because I was too much of a coward to leave her with that mess to clean up too. Lila texted once, then twice, then a third time with a single question mark. I blocked her number, smashed the burner with a hammer in the garage, and burned the pieces in the fire pit while standing barefoot in the cold until my feet blistered. I called Emily 73 times. She never picked up. Every voicemail was me crying so hard I threw up halfway through. I left messages that went from begging to bargaining to threatening to kill myself if she didn't come home. I hate that version of me more than any other. On day 9, I showed up at her sister's house drunk and shaking. Her brother-in-law met me on the porch with a baseball bat and told me if I ever came back, he'd make sure I left in a bag. I sat on their front steps until the cops came. Emily watched from the window. She didn't move, didn't wave, just stared like I was a stranger. The officer put me in the back seat and I puked all over myself on the ride to the station. They let me go with a warning and a breathalyzer reading that should have killed me. I started therapy on day 12 because the gun kept whispering my name. The first session, I walked in and said, "I'm the piece of shit who cheated on his wife for 8 months and destroyed the only good thing he ever had." The therapist didn't flinch. She just handed me a box of tissues and said, "Start at the beginning, leave nothing out." So I told her everything, every thrust, every lie, every time I came home and kissed Emily with another woman still on my breath. I cried so hard I hyperventilated. She waited until I was empty, then asked one question. "Do you want to be a better man, or do you just want the pain to stop?" I didn't have an answer. I kept going back, every week, sometimes twice. I paid in cash because I was too ashamed to let it hit the insurance. I wrote Emily letters I never sent, pages and pages of the ugliest truth I've ever told. I printed them, folded them, put them in a shoebox under the bed like a serial killer hiding trophies. On day 41, she finally answered the phone. I was on the kitchen floor surrounded by empty whiskey bottles when her name lit up my screen. I answered so fast I dropped the phone twice. "Hello?" Silence. Then her voice, thin and sharp as broken glass. "I'm only calling because I need to know if you're dead or alive. My lawyer needs to know for the papers." I started sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. "I'm alive. I'm so fucking sorry, Em. Please. I'm meeting you tomorrow, one time, coffee shop on 5th, 11 a.m. This is goodbye in person. Come sober or don't come at all." She hung up. I didn't sleep. I showered 3 times. I put on the shirt I wore the day I proposed. I sat in that coffee shop 40 minutes early, staring at the door like a man waiting for his executioner. When she walked in, I stopped breathing. She looked like someone had carved pieces off her and forgotten to put them back. Thinner, eyes hollow, but she was still the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. She sat down across from me, folded her hands, and said, "Say whatever you need to say. Then I'm leaving, and you'll never contact me again." I opened my mouth, and for the first time in my entire life, I told the truth. Every filthy, disgusting, unforgivable detail. And I begged for a miracle I didn't deserve. I still wake up every morning waiting for the ceiling to fall on me. It's been 378 days since that coffee shop. 378 days since Emily looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm not promising you anything. I'm only giving you the chance to show me who you really are when no one's watching." She didn't take me back that day. She didn't even touch my hand. She just stood up, left a 20 under her untouched coffee, and walked out. I sat there until the barista asked if I was okay. I wasn't. I haven't been okay once since the night she found the phone. But she didn't file. That was the first miracle. The rules she gave me were brutal and non-negotiable. Location sharing on 24/7. All passwords, all devices, open at any time, no questions. Individual therapy twice a week, couples therapy once a week. Miss one, and it's over. I sleep in the guest room until she says otherwise. Maybe never. I pay for everything. Therapy, lawyer,
hers, not mine. Marriage retreats, whatever she needs. I never, ever lie again about anything. Even, do these jeans make me look fat, gets the truth. I said yes to all of it before she finished the list. The first 6 months were hell on earth. I handed over my phone like a convicted man handing over his belt. She went through every text, every photo, every deleted folder, while I sat on the floor and watched her face crumble all over again. She cried so hard she threw up in the kitchen sink. I held her hair back and she shoved me away so violently I hit the cabinets. I deserved it. Some nights she'd wake up screaming from nightmares where I was still fucking Lila. I'd rush in and she'd throw whatever was closest: lamp, book, wedding album. Once it was the framed photo from our wedding day. Glass exploded everywhere. She stood in the wreckage barefoot, bleeding, and whispered, "Get out of my room." I slept in the garage on a yoga mat for 3 weeks after that. I showed up to every therapy session early, notebook in hand, ready to be gutted. Our counselor made me read my impact letter out loud, 8 pages describing exactly how I destroyed the safest place my wife ever had. Emily listened without blinking. When I finished, she said, "Read it again." I did, 3 times, until my voice gave out. I quit my job because it required travel. Took one that paid half so I could be home every single night. I cooked dinner, did laundry, mowed the lawn with headphones off so she'd never wonder what I was listening to. I left my phone on the kitchen counter when I showered. I pissed with the door open. Transparency became my new religion. I stopped drinking, deleted every social app, burned the blue shirt, gave her the ashes in a Ziploc bag and said, "This is what's left of the man who hurt you." Slowly, God, so slowly, the screaming stopped. One night, 8 months in, I was folding her laundry at 1 a.m. because sleep still wouldn't come. She walked in, watched me match her socks, and started crying. Not the angry kind, the soft, broken kind. She sank to the floor right there between the dryer and the wall, and I crawled to her, terrified to touch. She reached for me first, grabbed my shirt and pulled me down and cried into my neck like a child. I held her so carefully, like she was made of glass, and I was the hammer that had already shattered her once. That was the first time she let me hold her in over a year. We didn't have sex for 14 months. The first time she initiated, she cried the whole time. I cried harder. It wasn't makeup sex. It was funeral sex, burying the marriage we lost and praying something new could grow in the grave. Last week, she moved my pillow back into our bedroom. No discussion. Just woke up and it was there. I stood in the doorway staring at it for 10 minutes before I trusted my legs to move. This morning, 378 days later, I woke up to her hand on my chest, fingers tracing the scar where her engagement ring used to sit before she stopped wearing it. She was awake, watching me. I whispered, "I'm so sorry," like I do every single morning. She pressed her finger to my lips and said, "I know. Just keep choosing me today. That's all I need. I will choose her today, and tomorrow, and every day I have left on this earth. Because I am the man who almost threw away the best thing that ever happened to him, and by some miracle, she looked at the monster I became and decided he was still worth saving. I don't deserve her. I never will, but I will spend the rest of my life trying to." Thank you for reading this far. If you're where I was at 2:17 a.m. on March 14th last year, staring at a green submit button, close the fucking laptop. Go kiss your spouse. The high isn't worth the fall. I promise.